I didn't imagine I'd be here.
Well done, Amber. You're amazing. You're amazing. Not bad at all. Nice to be down after Cheviots. To have thought to have travelled all that way, 268 miles, all on foot. What an adventure. It seems like you've been outside for years. With something like this, it's not really about running, it's not really about speed, more about just taking care of yourself and making good choices. And if you don't make those good choices, you won't make it. Because the whole body is what gets you from one end to the next. That's what I've found anyway. So nice and steady, hopefully, a bit of luck, and you'll get there.
Last night was not as I had planned. The weather forecast wasn't the weather forecast. It was cold, it was windy, it was all things spiny. I was falling asleep on my feet. The other key thing though is that the plan was to have a gentle time on the hills so that I'd arrive nowish. And here I am, nowish, arriving. It's funny, if you think of it as I pay this much money, so what do I get in return? There's going to be a diminishing return because you're after the wrong thing. Actually, if you think of it more like a pilgrimage, I'm going to give everything that I have to this, and let's see what happens. I think you'll always get something in return that way. I don't believe you'll ever get a situation where you get a diminished return. Every year, I'm a different person coming back. I'll have a year's worth more different experiences coming to the table. The only thing that's constant is the actual route we take. It'll always be new. You just got to be open to the idea that you won't necessarily get what you expect. I've had a real sense this year of isolation. It's just been different and it's been lovely.
A long old week, feet are in bits, I'm falling asleep as I run, but it's just an amazing community of runners and volunteers, and it's just lovely to be in that bubble for a week where, you know, the rest of the world sort of disappears from view for a bit. It's a privilege to be able to do this kind of thing.
I DNF'd last year at Bryness at the church. It had a real effect on me. I've never sort of failed at something like that. So I might have been, been in a race and not made a cut-off and sort of failed that way, but I've never sort of had to literally throw the towel in, so I can't continue. That sort of stuck with me all year really, so I knew I had to come back and finish the job really, just so I can have a bit of sort of closure of the whole thing and put the spine race to bed for a little bit. It's going to feel nice just to end it all really.
Ready to be done, if I'm honest. Ready to finish. I don't think I've quite processed it. I think I'm going to get quite emotional at the finish line, if I'm honest. I feel like I've left a lot behind on the Pennine Way and emptied the tank. We've pushed hard, haven't we?
Definitely, yeah.
This was a first time for both of us, so to just get to this point and finish on a first attempt is like pure elation. It's amazing, but it's taken its toll, shall we say. It's definitely been a challenge. This has tested me for more than any other event I've ever done. I see why they class it as Britain's most brutal. Yeah, the terrain has been tricky, the route has obviously been great, the staff have been incredible, the support has been amazing at each of the checkpoints. Everything runs smoothly, so yeah, one of the best events I've ever been to.
268 miles is a very long way, but somehow it only seems like 5 minutes ago that we were way back down in Edale. We've seen a little bit of everything over the last week, and now all of a sudden it's coming to a close. Earlier on in the race, the conditions were atrocious. We've heard many a seasoned spiner over the last few days say that this was worse than most of the winter events they've been involved in. It's no surprise then that more than half the field in the full Montane summer spine race fell away from the race as the race went on. Nevertheless, we still saw 3 records broken across the 6 events and an outstanding win from Chris Cope. He was in a race of his own, a category of his own, way out ahead of everybody else, and the scenes here when he crossed that line and touched the wall were a party. The 6th fastest time of all time in the summer, despite those quagmire-like conditions further down the way. Congratulations to him, congratulations to all of our winners, and equally congratulations to everybody who completed an event this time around. Self-sufficiency is obviously at the core of every spine race event. All of our entrants have to have the training, the skills, the equipment to be able to take care of themselves out in the middle of nowhere and in any conditions. That's a safety feature. That's about survival. In order to thrive, in order to succeed here, there are 2 things that you need more. In the early hours of the morning, Lynn Davies-Selstrom and Mail Juan crossed the line here and touched the wall, and Lynn reminded us of one of those things, that you can't do this alone, that you can achieve much more when you work together. Her and Mail were strangers coming into this race, but they complemented each other. When one was low, the other would lift them up. If both of them were low, they could offer comfort to each other at those times. They helped each other find the strength they needed to keep pushing forwards. Lynn was very honest, refreshingly so at the line, when she admitted that there were 100 times across the race where the voice in her head was telling her to quit. Working together gave her the strength to refuse each and every time she heard that voice. Speaking to another spine legend earlier this week, Ian Keith reminded me of the other. You have to have a reason why. Your brain and your body out there on the course are going to give you 100 reasons a day to stop, and nobody is making you continue. Any of these runners could stop at the next roadhead, could simply call HQ and refuse. You have to have a reason to refuse that call to quit. For some of the runners, it's about inspiring others. For some of them, it's about remembering somebody they've lost. For some of them, it's about charity. For others, it's about proving something to themselves. But whatever it is, it has to be strong enough to get you along the entire length of the Pennine Way. And that extends to our race team, that extends to our volunteers, and it extends to all the trail angels that are out there day and night in all conditions to support the runners. Nobody's making us be here. Any one of us could go home. At any point, you could stop washing the feet of the finishers in the Border Hotel and simply walk away, but we don't. Now, you'll have to forgive me if this next bit sounds a little like a sermon. We were visited by the Bishop of Newcastle this week, and her thoughts are currently buzzing around in my head. A pilgrimage is a long journey with trials along the way, undertaken for a specific purpose, and one that generally ends at a destination that has some specific property, some reason for you to get there. Those trials along the way and the endurance required to complete a pilgrimage are what gives that destination that seemingly supernatural power. Every one of our finishers touches those stones at the corner of the Border Hotel and gets something different from it. Some of them are healed. Some of them are reminded of a strength they thought they lost, or find a strength they didn't know they had. Some of them get to fulfill their wish to inspire others to do amazing things. Helping our runners achieve that is our reason why. We're here to help our pilgrims touch those stones because it inspires us too. Every time they reach that line and reach their goal, it gives us hope that we can do that as well. And I feel confident in saying that that's the same for all of you out there, obsessed as we are with following those dots along the trail. So yeah, self-sufficiency is important, but all of us are in this together. And I extend this message to everybody involved in any similarly monstrously long event anywhere around the world. anybody involved in those races is in it together. Only by working as a group with that single purpose in mind do we get to create a space that allows our runners to do amazing things like Chris Cope and the other winners did this week. And only then do we get to feel that inspiration and that hope that we get from their achievements. And on that note, here endeth my sermon, and here endeth another Spine Race event. Thank you so much for following. It really does mean the world to us and to the runners. Thanks especially to everybody that used that messaging service this time around. You wouldn't believe how much that has meant to our athletes, to our pilgrims along the way. Thank you to our army of volunteers. Thank you to all of the trail angels. Thank you to all of the organisations along the way that make this possible. Thank you to the mountain rescue teams that have supported us this week. Go and check out their website now. I'll be back here again on the village green, no doubt, in winter, and I hope you'll be there too. Stick together out there, people. I'll be back in January.